we got to talk about the East-West Shrine Bowl, which of course was over in Dallas, Texas. Though I should say Dallas, Arlington, Texas, since the Dallas Cowboys don't actually play in Dallas there. But yeah, I mean, they talk a little bit about what it was. For those who aren't aware, it's just one of those basic all-star games do at the end of the college football year to kind of showcase guys who are about to come out of the draft. So this was February 1st was the game. So you're talking like late January because they were showing them doing the practices there. Joe attended. He talked about the importance of seeing all those players, mentioned the fact that obviously you can't go to every single college team and see every college player, during the season there. The interesting thing was that I thought was the fact that he had a good talk and talking about Frank Gore. Obviously, Frank Gore had a son in the draft this past year. Frank Gore Jr., no originality in that name whatsoever. So I can't think of a name. What do you call him? Please call him Junior. But I mean, I didn't realize that the relationship that Joe Schoen and Frank Gore had. I knew obviously Gore played in Buffalo towards the end of his career. I think his very last year he played actually was in Buffalo, if not second to last. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
It was last year's. I think it's last 2 years, right? Didn't he play 2 years?
I thought he, actually, no, he went to play for the Jets last, wasn't it? Now you're going to make me look this up. Frank Gore stats. Let's see here. But anyway, Frank Gore, obviously one of the best to ever really put on a uniform. His second to last year, 2019, is when he played there. Had about 600 yards there. Played his last year with the Jets. That was 2019, though. So, like I said, a little bit before the, when Joe Schoen was still in Buffalo there. But anyway, he mentioned that Gore was the one who got his eyes on Singletary when the Bills drafted Devin Singletary, which I thought was interesting. Also, perhaps a little foreshadowing. But, he said that basically that Frank Gore had an eye for the talent at the running back position and was a guy who was a very good scout for that position. Is now doing some scout work there for the San Francisco 49ers, he said, which would make sense. Obviously, that's where, Frank Gore got most of his accolades and yards and that kind of stuff there. What was interesting was they started talking about Saquon. Obviously, I think at that time that was the topic of the Giants, basically what to do with Saquon. He's speaking with Gore and an agent and talking about how running backs drop at 27, according to data. Mentions all the carries that Saquon had, between the Giants and Penn State. It's kind of basically seeming like he wasn't too interested in him. Kind of like, this probably isn't a good long-term investment. That's basically the vibe I got out of this.
Yeah.
Like, they're not trying to be disrespectful about it. They're just saying, like, that's not smart to spend money like this on a guy whose history shows you is going to start degressing.
Yeah, I mean, and especially from a guy coming from like Gore, who's always put up numbers.
Yeah, but Frank Gore played like 37 or something like that. Like, it was insane.
Yeah.
When that man played, he definitely broke the traditional. I mean, I think if he played almost a decade more than that, it's like
pretty much
10 years after that time period. It's crazy. So, they also talked about Saquon's talent, though, which obviously is undeniable, which I thought was a nice way of trying to not be fully like negative. Like, they're trying to say, yeah, he's special. He does things that other people can't do and stuff like that. But they also talk about tagging him again and, potentially, and didn't seem optimistic at all about getting a deal done, which I thought was interesting because this is, another month or so before, free agency started. This is at the timetable right around, like the Giants haven't even talked to him at the combine yet when we knew that the Giants were going to do it. So it's kind of like things weren't positive with the Giants from the get-go, basically, One thing that I really thought was interesting, though, is Mike Kafka, our offensive coordinator, was a coach at the East-West Shrine Bowl. And they didn't even mention that. In fact, Kafka's name didn't get brought up at all. I did not see his face there the entire episode. No. And listen, we talked about the fact that they were talking about defense. Shane Bowen was there, obviously. I don't know if that's what the plan was or not, as far as let's do another episode later on with that, I don't know. I really don't. But I thought it was kind of interesting that they didn't even bring up the offensive coordinator that's coaching at this game. Like, that would be something that a lot of teams would brag about. Like, hey, we're going there to see the players. In fact, there's our offensive coordinator right there coaching this squad over there. Like, that's something to bring up.
Yeah.
We talked about going into this, where I'm kind of curious to see how things play out with the Kafka situation. Like, is there bad blood between him and Dable? Is there bad blood between him and the Giants? And I'm not ready to say there is, based on that omission, but I'm definitely not thinking good about that relationship, if that makes sense.
I mean, you're also taking it after one episode. We saw
that's what I'm saying.
Highlights. Yeah, you saw a smidge of highlights for the second episode, which one of the best quotes of the episode one was in the highlights for episode 2. I thought it was amazing. We'll get to that later. But you don't know, episode 3 or 4, that might be more about the offense, and you might hear a lot of good things about Kafka. Like,
I just thought that was a chance to show something he's doing and kind of show how well thought he is by some circles. And they didn't take that opportunity. I thought that was a little weird.
A smidge.
It's kind of like when your kid gets like the lead in the play and you don't go or mention it or buy a playbill. Just say that's what I feel like. They really totally just missed an opportunity to showcase him and gives thoughts on what the NFL world thinks of him. Because we talked about it before, like, Giant fans don't necessarily like Kafka too much. They don't hate him necessarily. They just don't think he's that great of an OC. He hasn't done anything amazing yet. The NFL world thinks that he's doing a good job, though. He gets head coaching interviews. The Seattle Seahawks were ready to steal him flat out from us to be their OC. Like, the rest of the NFL world thinks nicely of him. For some reason, the Giants didn't give a chance to show that.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.